Ladies and gentlemen, today we are discussing one of the oldest arguments in the book. This is old as Cain and Abel. In one corner, representing the buy and hold, we have Kris Krohn.
Kris Krohn, buy and hold all the way.
And in the other corner, we have the amazing, the illustrious Carlos Reyes, representing wholesaling and fix and flip.
Dude, I don't know if I want to wrestle Carlos, dude. The dude's big, I'm big. This is real. Like, let's get
Someone's
in the
going to
ring.
get hurt.
Okay.
Someone's going to get
Someone's
hurt.
gonna get hurt.
Y'all have made a ton of money in real estate.
Yeah.
But your approaches are very, very different. Which is better?
So this is kind of an interesting conversation because I admire so much what Carlos does, but yeah, it is completely backwards to what I've been doing in the buy and hold game. You know, guys like me, we get into the game, we buy real estate, we hold it, and then we blink, and a decade or two goes by, and then you got millions and millions and millions of dollars, or you have paid off houses, and you have really high cash flows. And long term, dude, it is an awesome game to play. Absolutely. But not gonna lie, we get kind of jealous of these wholesalers and flippers because they get something different going on.
Let's hear what
he's right.
Different.
That's the long game, and not a lot of people can play the short game, right? Not a lot of people can play the short game. There's a lot of different challenges that you're going to face. Obviously, from specific knowledge to strategy to getting the capital from hard money or private money, right? And I'm talking about finding your own deals, right? Off market, discounted properties, finding your own deals so that you can A, wholesale the deal for a quick check. That's just flipping paperwork, by the way. Or B, right? Flipping, rehabbing a house and holding it for 30 to 90 days and then getting a check at the end of that. That's the short-term game, right? That's the short-term game. His game is played by a lot of people, and I really do respect the long game. You know, that's the long game, right? There's an old saying that says, don't trade short-term gains for long-term results, right? That's exactly what it is. But again, man, I mean, you got people like me that are like, hey, I want to build and I want to build now. And then you got people like Kris and a lot of the folks that are his partners. Hey, I want to build generational wealth. I want to build 10, 20, 30, 40 years and just be massively successful then. So I don't know which one's right, but we're going to find out.
Well, let's do some comparatives. Kris, on the typical buy and hold deal, how much money are you making a month on that?
You know, you can make $400, $500, $600 a month on an entry-level single-family home. And so you set the deal up, and then it becomes really passive, right? So that means that you don't have to put in time every month and do it, especially if you have a property management company doing it for you. And you're just basically collecting checks. It's not a ton of money, but if you do 10 deals or 100 deals, then all of a sudden it starts adding up, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. But you have to do a lot of volume, and actually that's one of the weaknesses of the strategy is there's a lot of people that don't have the money or the means, or they don't know the no money down strategies, so they're not going to build a big portfolio. Instead, what they do is, they'll buy a house or two or three, and then wait 5 years, everything appreciates in value, and then they'll sell some of the homes or refinance them, turn it into maybe 6 or 7 homes. Even though I went way faster than that, and I'm buying hundreds of homes every year now, most don't play the game that way. And that's where it starts looking attractive at this, flipping game, or especially the wholesaling game, where it's like, yeah, you do have to trade your time for money, but there's a pretty good trade-off. Like if you play that game right, the amount of money that you can earn per hour, Carlos, I know your numbers, dude. I know you're not making $1,000 an hour. I know you're not making $5,000 an hour. I know that you've done deals where you've made thousands or tens of thousands of dollars or more for an hour of your time. And so there's merit in that.
Yeah. So let me just say this, just to give you an idea, right? We started our journey in 2013. By the time July 2016 came by, we were already multimillionaires in the game of real estate through wholesaling and flipping.
So just a few years.
It's a very, very quick thing, right?
So what is the average what can you on average earn wholesaling and flipping in a given month? Obviously it's going to be more complicated than that.
Every market it has its own different economy, right? In California, you can have an average wholesale assignment earning, right? A check of $50,000 in one little quick flip of a paper. Like quick, I'm talking about days, 14 days, 21 days, right? In a place like San Antonio, it's more of a volume game. You can have $10, $12, $15, $20,000 and an assignment fee there, right? So every single market is different, right? But the fact of the matter is both of them are equal as fast. Like the speed is there. 14, 21 day payouts, boom. When you talk about a buy and hold, right? It's a long game. You're talking years.
Okay, let's talk market. Kris, can you do what you do in any market in the country?
I could, but my ROIs would vary. Like out of the 324 markets around the nation, I only play in 5 of them. So I'm going to be in the markets where I can average 25, 30, 35% annual returns. It means that my money is doubling every 2 or 3 years. So it is meaningful because I have the cash flow. I definitely have the tax breaks, which for some people is a really big deal. And then because it's passive, it's appreciating. And then I've outsourced the property getting paid off to a tenant, right? The person that's living there, I do earn an ROI on them paying the property off. So it is a long game. It doesn't pay you a lot up front. It pays you a little along the way. But it's one of those things where, Albert Einstein said that the greatest financial invention in our day and age is compound interest. And I've proven him wrong. I think that it's powerful when it's double digit, like over 10, 15, 20%. It's really weak when it's single digit, like what you get in a 401k or an IRA. You would need 6, 7, 8 lifetimes to amass millions of dollars. And so real estate, if you're earning on even the low side, 25, 30, 35%, you could buy a single property and over 20 years turn it into $4 to $17 million, depending on whether you're earning 25% a year on average or 35% a year on average.
Okay, wholesaling and flipping. Can you do this anywhere in all markets?
Yes. Any market, in my opinion, where there's at least 50 to 100,000 people in population, any market that you see cash transactions, any market that's a growing market, right? I'll give you an example. You got to look for economic trends or micro and macro trends. I think Tesla just moved another factory to Arizona, right? I think Tesla went into Arizona. I think Tesla went into Austin. Those are micro trends. Those are micro trends that you can immediately take advantage of, right? Because now, that factory or whatever Elon Musk is putting together, they're going to have hundreds, if not thousands of jobs. So now those people are going to need homes, and you see how it trickles down, right? Another example, Las Vegas, Nevada, right? Look at the trends that are happening there. You got the Raiders, right? You got the Knights, the hockey team. You got, I think, an NBA team coming in, right? So you take a look at that kind of market and you're like, man, I probably should be investing into that market because there's a lot of macro trends happening in that specific city. So yes, you can fix and flip and wholesale just about anywhere. Now, you do want to stay away from the really small markets where there's not a lot of the population is very low, right? Very low. Like if it's somewhere in the middle of nowhere and you don't want to be there, man. That's not going to be a good. I'll give you an example. What is that called? So there's a small city south of Chicago. I'll give it to you. I think it's called something Grove, right? Something Grove. There's probably like 30 people that live there. You probably don't want to wholesale or flip there.
There's not exactly a high traffic area where it's like, whoa, people are busting at the seams to be there.
Well, again, a property is only worth what someone's willing to pay, right? That's what a property is worth, and you know that whether our economy is up or down, a property is only worth whatever someone is willing to pay. And if you're in a market where there's only 30 people, right, and nobody wants to move there, that means nobody wants to buy a property there. Well, then you probably should not invest into that kind of market.
Totally. Okay. Last metric I want to use to compare the two options, and I think we have some good news for our listeners that are out there saying, should I buy and hold? Should I try this fix and flip thing? And I'll let you guys kind of share a bit of that of what you two have paired up to do. But the last metric I want to talk about is time commitment in terms of the hustle that it takes to do it. Let's start with buy and hold, and then we'll come to wholesaling.
Yeah. So when I buy a property, I usually have a team identifying it. And I'm just talking about the way I do it, right? I have a team identify it. If I'm using my own money, I'm taking a couple hours to talk to the bank. Usually I'm using someone else's money, someone else's credit, so I'm not doing that either. I've already built a relationship in that market with property management, so there's not really any time on setup there. For me, having done 6,500 deals, I can honestly tell you that I don't put any time, like not even 1 minute, into an acquisition on a property. But if I were doing it more the way that I used to do it, like as a beginner investor, I could put 5 or 10 hours into a deal. But once it's acquired and set up, then it's not even taking on average, maybe 5 minutes a month. So it really is truly a passive game.
Well, and let's speak specifically, because there's lots of people that do buy and hold. But if someone were to come and partner with you specifically, what would they expect?
They would only put in a couple hours. My team's going to do everything. Because remember, part of it is you have to find a really good deal, and then you have to be in the right market, and you have to vet the property, make sure it's going to produce the return on investment that you're looking for. And then you have to have if it needs a little bit of rehab and work, or if someone's going to make sure, I've got teams that even manage the property manager. So, even when I have someone that finds me on social media and they say, Kris, I got a 401k doing squat for me, or an IRA, or equity in a home, or savings, or business, I want to invest with you. When they team up with me 50-50, I bet they're putting in maybe 2 hours max on acquisition, and then it's fully passive after that. Now, don't get me wrong, my team is putting in about 342 hours per deal, but that doesn't mean I have to put the time in. I refuse to do that because I'm a systems guy, and the system will do that for me.
Okay. Carlos, same question.
Totally different, obviously, than what Kris has built for the past God knows when. Ours is active income initially, right? It is active income. With the way that we do business is you are truly building and scaling a real estate investing machine. And it's gonna, this machine is gonna help you find off-market deals. This machine is gonna help you with exit strategies, like if you wanna buy and hold, if you wanna wholesale it, if you wanna fix and flip it. This machine is gonna allow you to automate it. You are gonna start hiring people in this machine that are gonna begin to build this whole thing out for you and work it for you, right? So initially it does start out as an owner-operator / active income kind of deal.
Can I ask you about it?
Yes,
Because
sir.
if you're the active owner-operator in the beginning when you were doing the deals,
Yep.
like 2013,
Yep.
how much time would it take for you to find a qualified deal?
Well, I think you can find a deal within the first 30 days.
Okay.
I think you can really find a qualified
Is this like
deal.
working part-time though?
Well, again, it's a little different, right? It's yes and no, right? I tell people that you got to be putting in at least 20, 30 hours a week into trying to make this work. But a lot of the heavy lifting is early.
Yeah.
It's early.
So and again, I'm just so curious. So let's just say you were putting in 20, 25, 30 hours a week. Based on Carlos Reyes, how much money, can a person make their first year? Not you.
Yeah.
How much money could a person make?
If you're absolutely terrible,
yeah.
$300,000-$500,000 a year.
So
If you're really dropping the ball, right, and you're not doing.
Now, if you're Carlos Reyes and you have access to your systems and automation and data, and brother, you've built something incredible.
Thank you. 10 years. Overnight.
It's just overnight
10 years.
success over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
What, for you, on the last 20 deals that you've done, how much time have you put into them?
So let me ask you this: are you talking about you're putting a rock star person?
I'm curious about you. I told him
personally?
about me. I put in no time. I'm saying on your last 20 deals.
I put in zero. I have. So we had a board meeting on Friday, right? Myself, my business partner, and the CEO, right? We're on the board, and we have those once a month. And then the business unit leader, right? You call them a bull, right? They present their numbers. They present, the deals that they have. They present obstacles. They present wins, et cetera, et cetera. That's probably what I do now.
Yeah.
Right. I would say 30 minutes to an hour a month now.
Okay, Carson, here's then what you got. You got a Carlos and a Kris that each put in about an hour and a month to review what the team is doing.
Okay, there you go.
And then he's making piles of money and then building a portfolio of piles of homes. So what would happen if those two made babies?
That's what I was going to say. I'm pretty positive that everybody listening to this is wondering, well, can I do both? Because it sounds like one is the long term and one gets me cash
it has
now.
It has honestly been the great debate. I mean, if you follow a system like me, you're going to wake up in 20 or 30 years and you might have 100 homes. You might have more. If you wait 2 generations, you might be worth $500 million or $1 billion. I know people that got in 2 generations ago And both families are billionaire status right now. So it really is a legacy play. But if you were to ask any of those investors their first decade whether they felt like cash flow rich in their bank account, they would say no. I probably had to keep my day job. I had to have a side hustle. I had to have business income, because it doesn't really do that in the beginning. So there's a monster payoff down the road for your long term. Carlos, on the other hand, dude, I know the dude makes millions and puts in no time. So it's kind of like, do you want your millions now, or do you want hundreds of millions later?
What if you do what I do and you make piles of cash,
Yeah.
and then you start to buy and hold properties?
Yeah.
Now you're doing both. How quick can you get to massive success doing that?
Well, so this is interesting. So Carlos and I think you flew in for the first time 9 months ago.
Yeah,
to
September.
Last
Yeah.
September, flew into my
We started
office.
talking, yeah.
And we basically started kind of comparing systems and teams and getting to know each
Oh,
other.
yeah.
Had a positive experience, flew in again.
Months of dating.
Yeah. And then what ended up happening was we made a love child, and we called it Property.
Yep.
And we just released, and this isn't even official because it is a pilot program unbeknownst to the public in preparation for a multi-billion-dollar build. But basically, Carlos took all of his automation and systems on wholesaling. I took all of my automations and systems on buy and hold. And we basically said, is there anyone out there that wants to make $1 million a year wholesaling that's willing to put some of that money into their buy and hold, that will do that over the next 10 years so that you can have both? You can have a wild 7-figure income, but you can also then have a wild portfolio of real estate. And that gave birth to Property. And to our knowledge, and we've researched, we really know the industry, the gurus. Nothing else really out there is like that. So it's actually, we think it might be a match made in heaven. Our pilot program, we had people fighting each other to get into that because we'd only allowed basically 20 people in to have access to all of our resources undefiled for a year just to see. And right now they're all in a race against the clock to see how much money they can make and then pop that into buy and hold. That's where we're at.
And they're very happy.
Yeah.
They're very happy. We have everything you can think of. We have support. We have direction. We have strategy days. Everything you can think of. These people are loving their lives right now. Why? Because it's new. No one's ever seen this type of program or product, whatever you want to call it.
Well, here's what's kind of unique, right? A lot of people do wholesaling, and you have launched and birthed some of the big names that are out there on social media. But you've brought true automation to the system. And I don't know of anyone that has scaled single family with automation the way I have. So that's actually what makes this so unique is I don't have any competitors. I don't have one person that is doing what I'm doing in the marketplace. And I don't think you have anyone that has done the level of automation that you have. So marrying these two together, where we've both put in our time, I've put 18 years into mine. You put in over a decade into yours. You put those two together, two fully automated systems, and it really does for the first time ever give you the best of everything in the game of real estate.
Let me give you an example of how good, thank God, this thing became, right? What started in Phoenix, then we expanded into Vegas, virtual, in 2016. We expanded into Vegas. Then we expanded into Texas. Then we expanded into California. Then we expanded into Florida and North Carolina. The list goes on and on. And then, so that was virtual wholesaling.
Yeah.
To the point where Sean Terry came and did a podcast with us in 2018.
Yes.
He's like, dude, why do you have all these people in your office? What are they doing? How come they're not out at appointments? I said, Sean, they're locking up deals right now.
Yeah.
Sean Terry, which I came up under. This guy, I love Sean. He's a pioneer of the wholesaling game, right? He was blown away.
Yeah.
Just blown away. He couldn't believe it. Then he had me come to his event and talk. But this is what I'm saying. We got so good at our automation that then we started flipping houses in other states. Sight unseen, right? Fully automated crews and realtors and everything you can think of, right? Our biggest payday was close to $1 million in Berkeley, California.
On a deal.
December 2021. It was almost $1 million in net profit.
Wow. And if I were to take a look at some of my best deals, my ROIs have soared over 100% per annum.
Yep.
So you take a look at it, and if you're working with masters that are doing it right, just because they've honed their craft to the point where they're bored out of their mind because it works so flawlessly and there's nothing to improve, that's essentially what Property is.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, guys, what do you want our listeners to do with this information?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We hope you enjoyed it. No, we're not greedy. We're sharing. I mean, that's what Carlos and I do, right? We're built on this model of sharing. And so you could follow either of our social media, get in contact with us, and then you're going to hear about property. Right now, it is underground.
Get in early.
And right now, at the end of 2023 is when we are going to release it to the masses.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really, really big. But we're having fun with our pilot crew and just helping them out there. They're starting to work deals and make it happen.
You know, everybody wants to become a successful real estate investor, right? No matter who you are, dentist, doctor, right? Pilot. I mean, everybody wants to become a real estate investor. Everybody. Well, this might be what you've been looking for, if that sounds like you.